want to start a ministry, for example, like somebody said, you will have gone to register the business name first for the church or the ministry. You will have gone to look for location. You will have gone to also for money to rent a place, a hall or a business or an event center or an eatery or whatever it's and all those things. You will have even begun to speak to people that you and all manners of things and all of those things. You will have begun to do all those things. You will have even chosen the date and printed maybe even IV. That's when you now say, Father, I commit this your ministry to us. Come and take absolute control. Come and lead us, come and guide us, come and direct us. And the question is this: was God actually first in that situation? So if tomorrow you run into problems in that ministry, can you actually run to God? You cannot. Praise the Lord. So it says, in the beginning of your words, of my life, God. In the beginning of my marriage, what? God. In the beginning of my business, what? God. In the beginning of my exploits, what? God. In the beginning of my ministry, God. In the beginning of everything that we are doing, it ought to be God first. Why? So if you run into problems, if you run into difficulty, you can be sure he has your backing. Unfortunately, a lot of us use God as what we call spare tire. You know, when the tires of your car is good, you don't know the value of your spare tire. Like I remember one day my wife had an issue with her car, and the tire went down, so we're trying to change. The next thing, that smart came. You know, those ones, they don't hear left or right. They don't hear go or stop. He just came and towed the car. And when we told him that, what happened was we had flat tire. By the time we said let us change the tire, we discovered that the flat tire was flat. We didn't know. And the man said, but you're supposed to have known. But how many of us check our flat tire? Our extra tires, all we know is that we have an extra tire. But how many of us actually check whether it is well inflated and ready to work if anything goes wrong? We don't. But it's only when there is a problem we realize the value of that spare tire. Am I making sense? And that's how a lot of us tend to replace God. We don't put him first, but we put him spare. We put him by the side. We put him as, praise the Lord. I said, in the beginning of your business, God. In the beginning of your ministry, God. But there are some more things we consider in the beginning of many of these things that I'm talking about. For example, in the beginning, some of us consider beauty. The beauty of the woman. The beauty of the job. The beauty of the proposal. The beauty of the business. The beauty of so many things. And I remember very well, some years ago, I think almost like some of us, 2 offers to pray before you take a choice. I don't know how many of us will actually pray if we have that kind of choice. That is, you have 2 options: civil service or oil company. It will take the grace of God for you to be able to say you want to pray. And that's why I was shocked when that sister told me something and said, that she prayed about it and she will go for the civil service one. I was like, eh? You will do what? There's no civil service work. That's where her heart is pushing her to, leading her to. I couldn't. And I was like, the Fort Oil Company blossomed then, but today it's fizzled out. No, it was not oil, it was not Fort, it was AP, African Petroleum, that later metamorphosed into Fort Oil, and you know, so much of metamorphosis, but AP crumbled then. And when AP crumbled, what? Do you know where she works now? Even though she's a civil servant. In the last about almost more than 10 years now. No, about 15 years now. She works in the presidency. When I say presidency, I'm not talking of presidency. I'm talking of Aso Rock. A couple of times I've been to Abuja, she said, come to office, I come to office now. She was working there with, what's his name? Every vice president she works with, as in, she sees them and they work together. Presently, Shetima, it used to be Oshibajo, comes some privileges. But guess what? Because she put God first in that decision, you can see where it took her to today. You can see where it took her to today. And that's why I use that example of, in the beginning of your marriage, is it God you considered, or her beautiful face, or the big breasts, or the big buttocks, or the fine face, or the long legs, or the slim figure, or the skin complexion? What other thing do we usually look at? You know those things that we look at now? You know. But in whatever we are doing, at the end of the day, it pays. It pays. Like I said, you chose that woman in his right size and everything, and 2 years after, no child. He chose the man because his first car was a V-Put. Now he's driving a Lexus Jeep. And he also has a G-Wagon by the side. And 3 years after, no child. Run here, and they say the man has low sperm count or erectile dysfunction, whatever. Who do you run to? Who do you want to blame? If you put God first in it, you can be sure God will not put you to shame. He will never leave you stranded. And that's why when I hear testimonies at times that somebody married 10 years ago, 15 years ago, no child, and they come and give testimony in church or in camp that God has done it finally. I'm like, wow, it takes the grace of God to stick to her or to stick to him. Praise the Lord. I remember 2003, I got married. That's 20 years ago. It will be 21 years next year. Guess what? I know of course, they are no more here. They've left here a very long time ago. A sister and a brother. The brother was in the choir. The sister was, I can't remember the department, but the brother was in the choir and all that. We got married the same period, 20 years ago. But guess what? No child yet. And the question is this. As human beings, we may tend to begin to look at who do I blame? It's you that caused it. It's you that caused it. It's village people that caused it. It's this one that caused and all those things. But guess what? If actually, I'm not saying they did not put God first, so please don't misquote me. What I'm simply saying is that if you ever find yourself in that kind of a situation, who can you run to? Is the person that says you should go ahead and do that you can run to. And that's why it goes a long way in ensuring that in whatever we do, we put God first. I remember very well when I was going to choose my own wife as a partner. I left youth service to go there, only for me to get to the school and discover that the vice chancellor had died or something like that. Something happened, but it was cancelled. That was how I got to meet her. And I remember very well she said something to me. Said, when you came to propose to me, that I was thinking you will say, God said, the Lord said. Get me? Don't misquote me. I'm not saying God does not say or God does not lead. I didn't say that. But she said she wanted to hear what I will say, because some people you say that thing, and of course we know what goes on at times. But she said, but what I remember I told her I just said, you know what? I think we should take this thing a step further. And I just have this leading within me, this piece in my mind that you are the one. And she smiled like you are smiling. But what am I trying to say is that I said that I did that because I was sure God has a hand in it. And because God has a hand in it, you should be sure one thing. No matter what goes wrong, you can do what?